across the pond, all my Humanities Through Film students, I hope you're doing well. We're middle of the week. We have just a few weeks left, and I want to explain three things in this short highlights video to highlight what we're doing here on out, really. So if you take the time to watch this 15-minute video, there's going to be three things that you're going to look at. First and foremost, we're going to look at what to expect for this discussion for this week and how we're looking at the 21st century in this module. Then we're going to look at what our last module of the class is all about and how to sort of prepare yourself for that. And then thirdly, some closing business of how to deal with missing work. So those are the things that we're going to talk about in this short film, this highlight for the week. This week, as you saw and probably got into the reading as I connected it to last week, I wanted you to finish Harold Lamont and put your energy into that paper. Hopefully been able to do that. This week, we're looking at the 21st century, and that could be a class by itself. Think of all the parts of Hollywood and all this, the issues and the themes that Hollywood is addressing in our society today. And that could be a class in itself. So the best way to do that is for you to tell me what interests you about Hollywood. You're the best advocate for what's going on in the new realms of film at this 21st century. So to guide that, that's what these readings are. That's what your work is for this week. So there's some stuff I posted, some readings that, by academics, professionals in the field, but you're just as much as a professional. You understand the history of film. We've gone through a lot of it. You understand the trends of film in the past now, and how those trends are morphing and changing and using relevant themes and parts of our society today and mirroring and reflecting that and understanding the audience, who is us in the 21st century, and how those parts of film and those parts of Hollywood are changing and morphing in this new century. So you know that just as well as anybody else, but you need to learn the dialogue. You need to learn how people are talking about it, and that's what the readings are. Now for your discussion, and this is my most exciting discussion for me, because this is where you take the reins, where you're going to post something that you find interesting of what Hollywood's doing in this 21st century. So think of, it could be film in general. Maybe it's not Hollywood. Maybe it's Bollywood. Maybe it's foreign film somewhere else that's taking the reins and looking at film and attracting its culture where it's from, not just Hollywood. This class focuses on Hollywood because I tie it to American culture, but maybe you want to tie in some other culture. Here being in England, I'm being exposed to all types of film from around the world. If you have a chance to go to international film festivals, that's a great place to see how film's being used in other cultures as well. Or independent films. That's why I showed you Real Engine. That's not a Hollywood film. That's something else, isn't it? That's outside of Hollywood. But also within Hollywood, there's changes. Within, politically, things going on with understanding the people in Hollywood now and how that's changing. And certain movies that these people are in, like Kevin Spacey, banning the movie because of what's going on. So there's very much a turmoil and uproar right now. But you might want to talk about. There's racial tensions, there's class tensions, there's things about women's issue, how you portray women in Hollywood is still ever changing. How you portray masculinity is forever changing in Hollywood. All those things are very much relevant things to talk about. What I ask you to do is to pick one thing, maybe one film. Maybe you could even go into, I just saw an amazing music video of how, it's film, and using the film of a music video and using the music in the music video to say a very powerful message as well. So maybe you want to talk about that. But think about the same sort of thing we've been doing. How if 100 years from now, someone got a hold of the film that you want to show or a music video or something, how would they think through that artifact of what our society was like? What does it say about our society? So with that in mind, that's where I'm excited to see what you come up with. That's why this discussion is for the whole class. So you could read through not just your small group, but this whole class and see what people's views are, what people's backgrounds are, what their interests are through this assignment. So I'm very excited to see that. And if you have questions, please email me. I'll make it very clear in the directions, but if it's not clear, please let me know. I'm happy to help. If you're stuck on ideas, you could talk to other people in your class, in your small group, try to bounce ideas off. That's a wonderful thing. Feel free to email me if you have questions. This isn't due till Monday, so you have the rest of this week and the weekend. Being due on Monday, that of course means you have a couple days to do responses. I don't expect you to respond to everybody's, but pick 2 or 3 that you like. 2 is the minimum. 3 is fantastic. But to put in your thoughts of what they're putting. People are putting in a lot of work in this one, so I expect you to give them at least a paragraph. Don't just say, good job, that was awesome, but explain why. Explain maybe a connection or something you don't agree with. Maybe you don't agree with what they're saying. That's completely okay, and you can do it in a respectful manner. So that's going to be the assignment for this week as we get into this 21st century. Guess what? After this week, we are on our last module. We're into December, and this is going to be our last couple weeks, really. So excited to finish it off with something that when I did an experiment when I was teaching this live at Shasta College, and I gave the class a choice of every module, and every single term that I taught this at Shasta College, everyone always chose our last theme, and that is medievalism. Medievalism is a very popular thing that I'll get into and I'll talk about next week, but it's all around us. When you think of medievalism, it's that idea of medieval culture that sort of we are drawn to, and how much it is a part of us everywhere. Me as a medieval historian, I'm looking at the real medieval culture that's happening in that time period, but that's been taken out of context and put into our world today. And you see it all around us. We're going to talk about things like Star Wars, how popular Star Wars. Star Wars is medieval culture rewrapped in this new guise of Star Wars. But it's all the same. Jedi Knights, think of all the cultural aspects of Star Wars. That's medievalism. That's medieval culture rewrapped. The food we eat. In Reading, there's a round table pizza. And you can go to Vina, and I'll talk about this next week, but in outside of Chico, and there's a medieval Cistercian monastery that makes medieval wine. Sierra Nevada Brewery making this medieval wine. You can see a lot of breweries, a lot of marketing of medieval culture repackaged. So movies do that too. Westerns do that. Different parts of movies, the Game of Thrones, all those things. It's a very important, popular way that we see ourselves in the modern era. It's through this guise of medieval culture. So we're going to finish our class with that. Also because the movie is different. It's a comedy. It's fun. And it's very much this concept of medievalism. And our last movie is A Knight's Tale. Some of you have maybe seen it. Maybe it's been a long time because it's a rather older movie now. Maybe you've never seen it before, but you're going to look at it in the sort of the gaze of medievalism, of what it is repackaged. And that's to also show different themes of how things are repackaged, how history is used to repackage in the fun way to create something new. And think of other sort of subjects as well of how that works. So recreating it, repackaging it, and for a new audience, a new market, a new interests. So that's what we're going to finish with. Okay, so it's a lot of fun. Now, lastly, I want to talk about, since we are getting to the end and some business in hand, I'm getting through some grading, and I take my time with your essays and stuff. So, you're doing fine, and you're going to hear back this week about all the work that you've done. A lot of you, I just want to say, are doing a fantastic job. Some of you are missing a few key discussions and key papers. Because we have 3 weeks left, I want to give you the opportunity to do that for partial credit. So any missed work that you have, go through the grades. Even if it doesn't have a grade, you can see if you turn it in, and you can see if you haven't turned it in. And you could go on that assignment. And our very last day of class, whatever that is, and it'll be clear on our calendar. Whatever our very last day of the class is, the last day of the semester, that's the last day you could turn in absolutely any work. So if you could turn in any missed work even by that day, that'll be helpful for partial credit. If you could do it sooner, it'll be even a few more points. If you get it in the last day, I'll give you, I could get you the most points possible, but it's going to be a lot less. So try to get it in sooner, but that's the very last day. The worst thing to have is a big fat 0 on an assignment. So if you can get them done, get it in, that's fantastic. Those that have been turning it on time, you've been rewarded for it. You deserve the grade that you've been getting, and you're continuing on that way, and there's no worries at all. If you're missing some points, but you're on the cusp of a grade, that's the good time to turn it in, time to get those missed assignments in to help bump that grade up to the next level and pass this class, okay? I'd like to see everybody pass this class. That would be awesome. So that's what I wanted to highlight for this week, is what to expect with this discussion and how to look at the 21st century, how much of it is going to be really your original. Feel free to post a YouTube video if you want to kind of give it some context if you feel like it. But this is going to be your perspective of film in the 21st century. We're going to finish off with discussion looking at medievalism, and then also business of any missed work or whatever, concluding thoughts the last week. Should be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it. You have this discussion, you have a discussion with medievalism, you have the paper with medievalism, and you have some closing discussion and some reading in between all that. Not too bad. We're going to finish strong. I'm excited. Please stay communicative with me. A lot of stuff going on. I know personal lives, other classes, preparing for transferring to universities or whatever you're going to do. This is a great time to stay in contact. Let me know how you're doing, what you're doing, and know that I am a resource for you in all this stuff academically. Be happy to help out. Have a wonderful start to this December as we're going to be moving into December, and look forward to talking to you. Look forward to looking at the discussion. Look forward to finish out this class strong with you all. Have a fantastic rest of your week, and we'll be in touch. Bye-bye.